Hello, beautiful beings. I am Natalie Levin. This is Natalie Levin Astrology. I do not usually make full moon guidance videos on my channel, and I'm giving it a whirl for this full moon in Sagittarius, which is on June 3rd, 2023. It will happen at 11:41 a.m. or no, p.m. 11:41 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States. I invite you to keep in mind that when I am looking at the astrology, I'm seeing it through the veil of my experience in this lifetime. So if it doesn't match for you, take what you like and leave the rest. I am not living your life. I'm not in your body. So I actually don't know what it's like to be in your skin. And only you know that. That is your invitation. And since the full moon is in Sagittarius and the Sagittarius is related to the guru, you are your own guru. You get to decide. You get to say, actually, this does resound for me. This doesn't resound for me. Yes, no. So take what I say as possible suggestions of how this full moon in Sagittarius may express itself, and that it is not the end all be all. And when I'm looking at the chart in general for this full moon, which is happening on June 3rd, which is, what day of the week is that? Let me look. Oh, it's this Saturday. Oh my gosh. So it's soon. So you can be feeling the buildup already. Oh my goodness. Yes. Bubbling, bubbling. And this, this full moon is coming in with, it's happening as Uranus and Mercury are conjunct. So I'll translate it into English. I'm going to speak as if, I'm imagining that you don't speak astrology. And that's how it has always felt helpful to me when I listen to astrology forecasts. Because when I started listening to astrology, I didn't know what anyone was saying, but what I did get out of it was that they thought there was some context to what I was experiencing on planet Earth and what other people were experiencing on planet Earth. And it felt helpful to know that they thought there was some context. So on this full moon, and as we build up to this full moon, there's this energy of surprises and electricity and volcanoes erupting in the area of our charts. That is how our minds work, how we think, what it's like to our mental activity, our mental space. There could be some surprising reveals of secrets and news, and when there is some sense of injustice, a sense of justice might bubble up and be revealed and expressed. It could be from you, it could be from other people around you, it could be in the collective. It could be something like, oh, like the New York Times, this is an example, I don't actually think this is true, but the New York Times actually is using artificial intelligence to write their articles, and that gets revealed. And I, as a consumer of the New York Times, that doesn't resound for me. So I give that a thumbs down. Like, you get to have an opinion and a discernment about the news that comes out. This full moon is also in the poles of Sagittarius and Gemini. So think about, I'm getting lots of data, I'm getting lots of information, and what is the truth? There's still a large amount of possibility for not being able to see clearly, delusion, illusion happening with Neptune at 27 degrees of Pisces. My invitation is to remember that I don't believe much of what I see on social media. On, like, if someone's like, this is what's happening, this is the news, I don't believe it. I have to have an experience of it. That's my invitation to you. Can you have an experience of whatever it is before deciding whether it's true or not? Like, another example would be, if I have never ridden a bike in this lifetime, and I try to explain to someone, this is definitely what it's like to ride a bike, I actually am not a worthy source. The only person who is worthy to tell me what it's like to ride a bike is someone who knows how to ride a bike and has done it and knows the ins and outs of it. So someone I feel like that theme is up for this full moon. So I invite you to be discerning about what you accept as truth and untruth during this time. There could be, with this full moon, a sense of polar opposites because of the Gemini energy. So it's, do I want to embody, what is the high, can I allow there to be a both and during this full moon? Does it have to be either or? Can it be a both and? That's coming up for me too. And I am going to go through the zodiac and let you know how each sign is being affected for this full moon guidance video. And you can apply this to your sun sign and your rising sign. This is not for your moon sign, but it is okay. And again, this is when I'm doing this by sign, I also invite you to keep in mind that you have so much else in your chart that might be impacting how the full moon lands for you personally. So if that, I'm putting on copaiba oil. It's very grounding and lovely. So I invite you to know when you're listening to my per sign snippet for, let's say, Aries, that if it doesn't resound for you, you might only have your sun sign in Aries, but you might have no other planets there and like a ton of planets in Virgo. So if you get confused and you're like, I've never really resounded with the Aries energy, there's so much more to this, to astrology, than just doing it per sign. And I do know that it feels helpful when you're first stepping into the astrology world. So I want to honor that too. I'm going to pause and then we'll start with Aries. Aries and Aries rising. Aries and Aries rising. First of all, you are having, for this full moon in Sagittarius, you are having the planet Chiron, which is about youngest wounding, just dancing around in your sign for quite a few years already. And he's just right in the middle. So you've already been working for a while on this area of like, okay, where did my youngest wounding start? What does that look like? What can I do to turn my own poison into medicine? What kind of healing, what can I do to heal myself and therefore be a healing presence for other people? So that is, you're working with that already. And this full moon is igniting that conversation for you. Here's some examples of what might be revealed on this full moon. It's, oh wow. I always thought that I just, I really love, let me say it this way. I thought I was just a shy person, but what actually is coming up for me on this full moon, this is for Aries, Aries rising, is that actually I'm not shy, but I learned in my family growing up not to share what it's like to be in my skin, because if I did that, the people around me might get upset and I wouldn't feel safe. So I am now starting to see this truth, Sagittarius, that it actually behooves me to say, this is what I'm feeling, if there's someone who is able to care. And if it's an empty will, set Aries, Aries rising, I invite you to consider the people with whom you're sharing your inner world. I invite you to be kind and tender with yourselves around that. You're also, this full moon is having, it looks like a lot of fire coupled with surprises and maybe some exciting news or shocks in the area of your chart that's around your physical home, Aries, Aries rising, or possibly in the financial realm, like maybe there's like this boon that happens. You get information, news about a boon, a financial boon happening for you. That's what I'm going to go positive. Sorry, I'm going to go positive with this, the way this is going to play out. Yes, there's going to be a financial boon for me. I'm going to get news of some sort of lovely financialness. Aries rising, you're also having this, with this full moon, Venus is squaring your sign. So it's, if you're having some challenges in romantic relationships, can you allow the full moon energy either to invite you to see truth, see what is really happening in your romantic relationship, or if you can't discern what is actually happening, to hang out and breathe and wait maybe a few days till after the full moon happens. Like, is this working? Are we valuing each other? Is our relationship valued? Does something need to shift? Does something need to change? I wonder how this lands for you. And also, this full moon is happening for you in the area of your chart that's around speaking truth. The full moon is happening in your 9th house. It's about teachers. It's about expanding your consciousness. It's about going into nature. And if I'm in Aries rising, maybe on this full moon on June 3rd, I'm going to do something that allows me to dance in the realm of nature and roll around on the ground or in water, on a beach, somewhere that is not constructed by humans. Even if it's a manicured garden, that's okay if it's some sort of nature realm. So I wonder how this lands. I'd love to hear in the comments. I'm going to pause now. Taurus rising, you are having quite a time since March 6, 2019, with Uranus in your house. That was Uranus. Yes, Taurus rising, you're having the element of shock and surprise, shock and surprise, shock and surprise happening over and over in your life since March 6, 2019. And I'm imagining that March 6, 2019, maybe something really big started to happen for you. I'm not sure. And with this full moon, where it's landing for you is in the house of family, it's like ancestor secrets, there might be some sort of a big surprise reveal about, like, oh, Auntie Sue had a love child that no one knew about, and now I have a cousin that lives in Illinois and I didn't even know that. Oh my gosh, like that could be the big reveal. It could be for you. It also is, this full moon might be illuminating some, if I can't decide which way to go in the way I want to decorate my house. I mean, it's really, it could be a mundane and 3D Taurus rising. And with this full moon, I am actually able to make a decision. Something's popped. Okay, I see it. This is the right way. And Sagittarius, which is where the full moon is an energy of feeling very right about things. Like, I'm right about this. Yes. So there's that. If you have trouble sleeping when this full moon is coming, Taurus rising, that makes sense, because again, in your first house, which is your, like, I am, my root chakra, you're having a lot of electrical energy, and it's only 1 degree away, and with this full moon, 1 degree away, it's making me rub my head. It's only 1 degree away from Mercury, which is how your mind works. So easy does it, my friend, because what can you do to ground down onto planet Earth? What can you do to ground down onto, okay, I'm here in the nature, and as I'm talking, I'm like seeing this, and I'm gonna hold it while I'm talking about your sign, because it feels like a big full moon for you. Like, it goes down into the depths, it goes down into the realms of shadow that we don't actually like to talk about in polite society, and it is a revealing of the truth in those realms that maybe actually need to be spoken to someone or written in your journal. You know, I wonder what comes up for you hearing me. There is a lot of activity. Well, I would invite you to stay alert if you, Taurus rising, notice yourself getting angry in your home, or in your family, with this full moon bubbling around, can you hold yourself still? Like, I'm going to hold this baby that's having a tantrum. I'm going to hold it and care for it so that it feels contained and doesn't need to, and it can explode, but in a safe way. Can you do that energetically for yourself during this full moon? I wonder how this lands for you. I'd love to hear. Thank you for trusting me. I'm going to go on to the next sign. Gemini rising. Hello. I love being with you. I am never bored in the presence of a Gemini, and I love that. Gemini rising. This full moon is happening in your house of long-term partnerships. Like, it could be marriage, it could be you in a contractual relationship. If you happen to, like, maybe you hired a contractor this full moon and you're like, is this working out? And this full moon could be a moment when you're like, oh, this contractor isn't quite on the up and up, and you see some truth is revealed. It could be also, this is like a fantasy I'm having. Oh, if I'm a Gemini rising, suddenly I realize that I want the contractor to like create all nature themes with whatever he or she is doing. Let's go there. Let's do some nature themes. There's that coming up. You're having a lot of energy, Gemini rising, in your third house with Mars there for this full moon. So I invite you to stay alert for if you are using, I've heard it called wall of words. Like, I am going to come at you with so many words that you don't have a chance to communicate to me what it's like to be in your skin. And it actually is a protective device from me to keep me from actually experiencing true intimacy. I hope you can hear this with love. Gemini rising. Like, oh, wow, I'm talking so much that I'm actually creating a barrier between me and the people around me because I am filling so much space with my words. That feels like that could be up for this full moon for you. There is, perhaps as you're moving through this full moon energy, there might be, you're like landing in some sort of, I'm confused about what my career path is. I'm starting to get some like corralling about what it's like, what my career might be landing in next with Saturn and Neptune in your career house. However, it's not clear yet. It's still foggy. Can I, as a Gemini rising, sit in the not knowing, rest in the fog, rest in the confusion? And with the sun in my first house right now, while being invited to be so very myself, my isness, Gemini, I also at the same time invite myself to reflect on if my access to so many words and communicating, if it also, sometimes I use it as a barrier so that people can't quite know who I am, because sometimes if I were quiet, they would get more of a feel of what it's like to be in my skin than when I talk. How does this land for you, Gemini rising? I'd love to hear. Cancer and Cancer rising. Cancer and Cancer rising. Thank you so much for being here, being in your body, staying in your skin. I am grateful. Let me pause this for 1 second. This full moon is happening for you in your house of daily routine and health, and also small animals. So what comes up for me immediately is your pets may go cuckoo bananas during this full moon. They might be like, woo-hoo, time. So I also want to say for you, Cancer risings, that it might be illuminating for you these energies of what is my daily routine, what is my daily life, what feels truthful and right and aligned for me, and what feels like I can drop it, I can let it go. It's an other that doesn't need to serve me. For example, maybe I mean, this isn't a personal example. I am actually a Cancer rising. Okay. Well, maybe this is for me. Maybe this is why it's coming up. I mean, for example, I wake up and I'm like, I take this very artificial Swiss Miss hot chocolate powder, put it in a giant cup, have coffee, at least it's half calf, and then like tons of creamer and sugar. I add sugar. And so the invitation could be, maybe I could let go of the hot chocolate. I don't think I'm ready to do that, but this is some sort of an illumination. That would be a thing that I could release. Now, as a Cancer, I do have a Cancer moon and a Cancer rising. I do like comfort and cozy, and that's one of the things. I like sugar too very much. So that's coming up for me as an example. Cancer and Cancer risings right now, you have the planet of the wounded healer in the area of your chart that is seen by the public eye. I know for me, I turn my poison into medicine. So you might find yourself doing some of that like people are seeing you for doing that. They're like, oh, she's working on her healing. I'm coming to that person. I want to be in her presence, either like in a professional way, or it's like, I am actually, as a Cancer rising, people come to me and they feel cared for and tenderly cared for. And the question becomes, Cancer rising, this full moon is it's saying like, oh, I don't quite know. There's other things illuminated right now for you, Cancer rising, besides your focus on yourself. So can you keep reminding yourself, oh wait, it's okay for me also to receive nurture during this. It's a busy time. There's a lot of mutable energy, and you as a Cancerian are water, you are cardinal. It's not, and so it might be like, invite yourself to come back to your Cancerian self. Like, I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to do some care. I'm going to put my hand on my heart and my hand on my belly and take some big breaths. Because your daily life routine might be getting disrupted with this full moon. That is also coming up. Yeah. And you also might have in the area of your chart that's groups, communities, and friends, like some surprising news, some surprising reveals. Something shocking could happen around this full moon, good or bad. And, or let me say it differently, pleasant or unpleasant. So know that is, I wouldn't be surprised if that were to happen. I wonder how this lands for you. I'd love to hear. Leo rising. Hello. So happy to be with you. This full moon is happening for you in your 5th house, which is the house of fun. It looks like you have a lot of energy for fun right now, and I am so pleased to report that to you. Like, I'm like, may everyone have so much energy for fun, as Leo and Leo rising is having on this full moon. May it be so. It's lighting up your fun house. It's also lighting up your like groups, communities, and friends area of your chart. It's this invitation to dive into creative projects, super fun times. Hold on, I have to pause this for a second. I'm getting a lot of messages as I'm doing my Leo rising. So as I'm leaving you this Leo rising message, I'm getting like a scam phone call. I'm getting strange messages. So I want to say also to stay alert, Leo rising, as you're doing your fun time, for what feels like, if you're like, oh, that ticket to that amusement park is only $5 on this website. I'm going to go and it's going to be so much fun. Stay alert to scams with this because Sagittarius is truth and Gemini is like trickster. So I invite you to stay alert for the trickster that might be appearing during this full moon for you, because I'm also getting that happening as I'm leaving you the Leo message, the Leo rising message. You are having with this full moon in your career area of your chart, you could have your career and like you in the public eye. Here I am getting some surprising news, some shocking news, some interesting, I mean, the way my mind works, it might be an epiphany, like, oh, I've been running my business this way for so long, and now I'm having an epiphany, and something new is being lightning bolted into me about the way I want to do my business. I feel very excited when I look at this full moon for you, Leo rising. So if you have trouble sleeping with the energy of it, because I'm feeling so lit up and I didn't even drink any extra coffee, I invite you to get down into your body. And I've been finding there's a yogic breath called samavriti, where you breathe in to a count of 4 through your nose and out to a count of 4 through your nose. And that might feel supportive with this very activating full moon energy. It looks like it's going to be a fun time. And I invite you to notice if you start to burn so brightly with your Leo sun that you are like, oh my God, I can't get back into my body. Like I've scattered out, like I want to bring myself back into me. How does that land? Does that make sense to you? I'd love to hear in the comments. Virgo and Virgo rising. So happy to be with you. Thank you for coming into your bodies. Thank you. Thank you. Starting my timer here so I don't over talk, which sometimes I do. This full moon for you is happening in your house of family and home and mother and womb and things that are like related to your own biological mother. And if you are adopted, your adopted mother, it can also be related to you embodying mother energy, you with a sense of nurture. How do you care for yourself? What does it look like? What feels like truth for you to land in a sense of home? What feels like home to you? What feels caring and comforting and cuddling for you? How do you, Virgo rising, I know your sign is a sign of being of service. And how do you invite yourself to step into the realm of, I am actually going to allow myself to be nurtured as well? What does that feel like to even hear me say that? Does that make you feel uncomfortable? I can understand if it does. You are having in your sense of righteousness and truth and nature and teacher, that area of your chart is getting lit up right now with new information, change, shifts. And the question could become, the question is there some information coming out for me as a Virgo rising about, like, maybe there's a teacher that I've been really resounding with, and it's a surprise that, like, I got some surprising news that's revealed about this teacher. The person doesn't resound for me anymore. Or it can be, wow, that person has such an amazing mind-opening way of seeing things with this full moon that I want more. Virgo rising might say, I want more of that. Give me more. Like, for me, what's happened, I'm not a Virgo rising, but what is happening for me is I'm being lit up right now by listening to near-death experiences. Like, I'm like, oh, right. It feels really exciting and inspiring, and it feels like lightning bolts for me. It could be something like that. Virgo rising, you are having, while this full moon is happening, you're having, it might be some really profound, painful, ancestral patterns and woundings that are coming up to be healed even more deeply at this time. So there are amazing 12-step groups that are free if finances are a challenge. There are, I mean, I love 12-step groups. I know in theory, I'm not supposed to talk about them publicly. That is one of the traditions, but I feel like people don't know they exist. So that's all I'll say about that. Sorry, I know there's an 11th tradition that I'm breaking. I am breaking it. So again, it feels like as a Virgo rising, can I allow something about the way I go through the world with this full moon? Can I also allow myself to receive nurture? Can I know that I'm probably getting a lot of information through the public realm, through being out with people, and maybe I invite myself to be discerning about what I allow in and what I don't. How does this land with you? I'd love to know. Libra and Libra rising. I am so happy to be with you all. I am this full moon for you, Libra rising, is happening in your house of communications, writing, reading, neighborhood, and siblings. So there might be some sort of a, I wonder if you have siblings, because there's an element of surprise as well with family ancestral stuff here. This would be for you, Libra risings, a time when you're like, oh my gosh, Aunt Sally had another baby that she never told anyone about. And now I have a cousin out in Utah, and oh my gosh, like maybe you just did a 23andMe, which if you don't know what that is, you can like do your genealogy online, and then all the people who share your genetics can write to you, which I don't know how great that sounds. Just saying, but you are a Libra rising, so you might be interested in being that social, and you with Libra rising tends to be interested in relationship, so you might be like, oh, that sounds really great. So goddess bless if that calls you. And this full moon is activating you in an exciting and productive way. It's like, oh, this sounds really nice. Let's see, who are my siblings that I don't know about? Do I have any siblings out there? Did maybe mom use some sort of a sperm donor that I didn't know about? And as you do that, keep in mind that there might be some information reveal that is shocking and surprising, because your 8th house, which is about family inheritances, is getting some surprise news in it during this full moon eclipse. You might be lit up also, Libra rising, to have some interest in learning something new, because this is also lighting up your access of your 9th house, which is, I'm going to expand my consciousness. I want to get some more information, get some more data, and process that through my own self and see what more is revealed through the vessel of me when this information comes in, what new thing is revealed and emerges. Libra rising, you've been having in your long-term relationship area of your chart, your marriage area of your chart, you're having some invitation to heal wounding that is very old, very young. So I find that only through relationship can I really do the most profound healing. Maybe it's relationship with goddess, God, angels, guides. Maybe it's a relationship with my cat. Maybe it's a relationship with a human. With a human is, I find, the most challenging, because I'm going to rub up against that person and we're going to chafe against each other, and that's how I'm going to grow. And since you're a Libra rising and it is about relationship, while you're doing that healing work, can you also continue to keep bringing the focus back onto yourself so that you embody both sides of the axis of relationship and I, me, mine, relationship and I, me, mine? Can you let that still be loud as you do this work? How does this land with you? I'd love to hear, Libra rising. Scorpio and Scorpio rising. Hello. I am so happy you're here. I think you're so super cool. This full moon in Sagittarius is happening for you in your 2nd house. So it's a little bit like I'm in the 3D here as a Scorpio rising. This full moon is inviting me to come back to what is the next thing to which I need to attend in the 3D, like my physical, you can't see this wall, but there's a wall here. This physical house, this physical body, my finances, what is going on financially for me, what steps do I need to take around that? There might be, because this is, camera is like floating this way and that. because there's this dance right now for in this full moon axis between Sagittarius and Gemini, the other part of your chart that's getting lit up with the actual sun right now, Scorpio risings, is the eighth house, which is about inheritance, taxes. It might be a time when you get some sort of a letter like, oh my gosh, I have to pay back taxes. Bummer, shoot. That could be happening. Or like I get a surprise tax return. This is so exciting. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that was going to happen. It could also be for you, Scorpio rising. It can be the way this chart is getting lit up for you is in your long-term contractual relationships, you might get some surprising information or surprising news or a new way of seeing the person with whom you're in long-term relationship. If you're in a marriage, you might suddenly say, oh my gosh, look at this. Wow. Look at this person. I didn't know that she could do that. Or, oh my goodness, I feel I have an epiphany that maybe Jim might be not able to think the way I can about these profound and shadowy realms, because Jim is, for example, he doesn't have as much Scorpio energy as I do, and he's not as able to go deep into the depths of what it's like to be in his skin. So you might have these awakenings with this eclipse about people's capacities, people's abilities, and yours. Like, you are a profoundly feeling sign, and your feelings are below the surface, so far below that you don't necessarily have words for them. So if you get access to your emotions during this full moon, for whatever reason, I invite you to let it come out, let it out. That is really great. It is healthy and incredible to have access to your tears. It pops as an energy, and you've been in a real fixed square for the whole month of May. So you're probably pooped, and tears can be a way to release that tension that you've been holding. Amazing work. How does this land with you? I'm going to pause this and move on to the next sign. Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. This full moon is happening in your first house. It's so exciting. I love Sagittarius. I have a lot of it. I think I think the energy of Sagittarius is inherently ebullient and inherently optimistic, which might be annoying to some people. I think I'm annoying to some people because I have all this Sagittarian energy, and it can be really like I feel like it might be a little Pollyanna-y, especially with my Pisces energy. So, and here you are watching this video, Sagittarius rising, and you're like, what's she going to say about the full moon in my sign? And I think it's an invitation to allow yourself to be illuminated with what feels right, what feels true for you, what feels like, I'm a Sagittarius rising, and I've been going along with the flow of everyone wearing black socks, and suddenly I'm like, I don't want to wear black socks. I want rainbows on my feet. It could be that basic, like literally the root of you, where my feet touch the ground. It can be your area of your chart that is around your long-term relationships right now, like marriage or contractual relationships could be very activated right this moment with this full moon for Sagittarius rising, in terms of saying, wow, well, I really like this aspect of Bessie. But that means if I want that aspect of her, I also have to live with this aspect. And so there is a both and in your relationship area of your chart right now. Like with this full moon illuminating that, like, can I sit with the fact that Bessie is endlessly wonderful as a conversationalist, and she leaves her socks all over the house. Can it be a both and can I expand enough to hold space for all of that? And the answer might be no. Your truth, full moon in Sagittarius, might be no, I can't. I just can't. That's okay. I mean, there's no right or wrong astrologically. And I wonder what young wounding with this, the way that full moon is talking to your chart, what very young wounding is up around this as an example, because if I am in relationship with Bessie and she leaves her socks all around the house and it makes me crazy, is that because of something that is I really care about, or something that I learned growing up in my family that like, oh, you should never leave your socks around the house? Is it mine or is it someone else's? This would be a time when that kind of illumination could happen about your daily routine, daily life, and what, like, oh, I get a lightning bolt. Actually, the way my mind works around this is not mine. It's someone else's that I inherited, and I'm going to let it go. I'm shedding that. That is not for me. Yeah. You're having a lot of energy in your like travel, Sagittarius. I mean, you travel already, but your travel area of your chart is lit up with fire and play, and there might be an invitation right now, like I really want to go and play even more than I have been, and go out into the world. Are you planning any trips? Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting full moon for you. It feels like it doesn't feel super difficult when I look at the chart and what's happening. I'd love to hear what comes up for you around this if you're open to sharing. So happy to be with you. Thank you. Capricorn and Capricorn rising. This full moon in Sagittarius is happening in your faith area of your chart, your area of your chart that's around connection to spirit, to guides, to angels. Oh, how beautiful. So here you are, you're going along and you're like, oh, I'm a Capricorn. I don't really want to spend a lot of time thinking about the fact that we are spirits having a human experience, because I have shit to do. I hope I don't get censored. I have stuff to do, and I have to climb the mountain and climb the corporate ladder. And Capricorn rising, please remember, I am not, I put my timer on. Please remember that you are the bridge between the three-dimensional and the spirit realm. You have this amazing glyph. The energy of Capricorn is I am half centaur and half merbeast. So you might not relate to that part of you very much because it's not encouraged in what I feel like is quite a Capricornian, the 3D aspect of Capricorn, a Capricornian society. Like, what car do you have? How much money is in your bank account? What does your house look like? No, what is my, if I'm a Capricorn, what is my spirit connection to my intuition, my spirit, the realm that I can't see, under the water, into the depths where our machines can't even go because they will be crushed by the pressure? What is my relationship there? Do I even have words for that? What does it look like for me to talk with others and teach about spirit? What does it, if people are interested in hearing from me, and if they're not, maybe I like Capricorn rising, maybe you're like, I'm just gonna start making, I'm gonna start making a YouTube channel and talking away, and maybe someone will listen and maybe they won't, and I'm going to talk about what it's like to be in my skin and start to awaken to spirit, awaken to my guides. And this might also impact, this is around this full moon. This is all around this full moon on June 3rd. It might impact the way I connect in with my partner, my love, my romance interest. It might impact the way I am healing my youngest wounding. This is all full moon stuff that's happening for you, the specific full moon. It might impact the way I decide to go about my career. So for Capricorn rising, you're having a real opportunity here with this full moon to step more into the spirit realm, to step more into what is beyond the veil, to connect with your angels and guides. And if that does not resound for you, then maybe you simply go out and you touch a tree, Or you, I mean, this is not alive. Here's a pine cone. Like you let the pine cone just like rest on your head. I know Capricorn rising is not the most serious, silly of the zodiac, and it's okay. Like, what would it be like to let yourself get a little silly? To let yourself like, here's I'm a Capricorn rising. I'm gonna go buy myself some rose spray and have that nearby and clear myself when I'm feeling like I don't even know what I'm feeling, because I might be feeling other people's energy, but I don't even know that I'm feeling other people's energy. You also are having, you might have some sort of like a surprise inspiration or idea around a creative project that's coming to you. Like, I want to build a gorgeous little home, a shed in my backyard. I'm going to build that. And it's a great idea. And I'm going to use my brain to figure it out. And then I'm actually going to build it. That could also be happening with this full moon for you, Capricorn rising. I wonder how this lands for you. Thank you so much for listening. And I'd love to see in the comments if you're open to sharing. Aquarius and Aquarius rising. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for staying in your bodies. I know that Pluto just entered your sign. I know you are amazing beings. You have come from other galaxies, many of you. Thank you. It's Pluto is like, I get to step into my power. It can be that. It can be that. For you, this full moon is happening in your 11th house, which is the house of friends, communities, and groups. It's like, what feels fun for me? What do I enjoy? What, in terms of the people that I want to be with, who do I want to be with? It's lighting up the axis of my fun house and who I like to spend time with, my communities, my groups, my humanitarian effort. I mean, it's actually lighting up the Aquarius house for you. So it's a lot of Aquarius things that are being brought up. How do I want to be of service in a way that feels righteous to me? Like, how do I say righteous? In a way that feels true for me, like my moral compass, for the greater good, whatever that looks like. I think I better not say the greater good. That feels like a dangerous sin, a dangerous phrase. You're having in your family area of your chart, your home area of your chart, an invitation to have some new ideas, a shocking new idea, a surprising new idea, a lightning bolt of inspiration might come to you around, it could be around Venus things like, oh, I've really enjoyed the color ecru that my home has been, and now I suddenly feel drawn to using the color mauve as an accent. It could look like that. It can also be, my idea is to change the lighting in the whole house. I don't know, it feels like lightning bolts, like lights coming into Taurus and the realm of ideas in your, what feels like home and cozy to you. And then also, making me rub my eyes. You might have new ideas and thoughts about what feels nurturing and cozy and comfy for you as well. How do I create some sense, Aquarius rising, of coziness, of comfort for myself? And is there some sort of a shift, a difference for me around that? Does it look different than it has been looking with Uranus conjunct Mercury there? Am I having some new ideas and new thoughts about that? There is an invitation with this full moon to go out and have some fun. If there's some fun to be had, do you want to go and like go play? It's lighting up your playhouse, your house of play and it might be that you go and do several things in one day, because it's Gemini and it's a mutable air. So it's like, I have all these different ideas and thoughts about what I want to do. And I'm going to go try to do like 3 different things in one day for fun around Saturday, June 3rd to like, it's, yeah. And this full moon is talking in a friendly, productive way to your sign, Aquarius, Aquarius rising. So this is not, it doesn't feel ominous. It doesn't feel like, oh, this looks really intense and hard. It feels like a little bit of stardust, a little bit of stardust. How does it feel to hear me say this, Aquarius, Aquarius rising? Thank you so much for being here. Pisces and Pisces rising. This full moon is happening for you, and it's lighting up your career area of your chart and your public eye, and like what the way people, your social status, if you care about that. It's like, oh, okay. What, like, does society value what I'm doing? Does the public generally value what I'm doing? You might not really care, but it is illuminating that you might get clearer on what feels like this works for me and this doesn't. This is, yes, I feel resonant with this truth, and this part of my, and then you will, Pisces rising, there's an invitation also to land in, oh, as I'm knowing what is true and right and just for me in the public eye, I might also at the same time feel a little confused at home. Like, what do I want to do at home? Can I do both, and can I be both really steady and sturdy and reliable, and also allow myself to be sloth-like and have days that I do nothing? Can both be true? Can I, with the way this full moon is landing, also allow that I might get some new exciting epiphanies and ideas about how I want to communicate, what it's like to be in my skin, how I want to allow others to receive my information about what it's like to be me, which does not come easily to me already because I'm a Pisces rising, and I might not have so much access to words because it's water, it's mutable, and I am getting a grasp or pinning down what it's like to be me is not necessarily natural for me. So with this energy happening on this full moon of there's a lot of access collectively to words, to data. There's a lot of lightning bolt energy, waking up energy in the communication area of your chart. Your writing might come to you for this on this weekend. You might like write some sort of a post that you feel like, I want to share this with others, or you might get inspired to create some sort of a podcast that you are like, this is going to be great. Like you feel inspired, you think you actually believe in what you have to say, and you have an access and grasp to the words to speak your truth, to be witnessed publicly. Yeah. I'm going to leave it at that. How does it feel to hear me say that, Pisces rising? I'd love to know. I'm going to pause this. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this. Again, as always, I invite you to remember that I am seeing the astrology through the veil of my experience in this lifetime. So if it doesn't match for you, let it go. Take what you like and leave the rest. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, please go to my website, natalielevinastrology.com. I want my work to be more accessible to you. So I have made 45-minute live sessions with me available for $150. If that interests you, please sign up. You can schedule yourself on my website. And I'm so happy to be with you. Thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. I am really honored and touched that what I say seems to resound for some of you. Thank you. And I will be in contact. Thank you so much.